Hey everyone, Sparkle Butterfly here, and
What's up, guys? It's the girl, my 1114, or Mickey, whatever you want to call me. Sorry, my voice is kind of raspy because I've been at work all day.
oh, it's alright. And welcome to another video.
Yes, welcome to our, second story reading.
Yeah.
Yes. And today,
We got a cat at the window.
Yoongi, we're trying to record.
No, she wants to listen on the story.
Oh, you can listen. But anyway, so
Yoongi, are you excited? Yeah, she's excited.
So
she wants to listen to us read the story. She's really excited.
So today's story, what we're gonna read is Alice Adventures of Wonderland.
In Wonderland by Lewis Carroll.
Yes.
Classic story.
So today we're going to read 4 chapters, and it's going to be divided in 3 episodes.
Because there's only 12 chapters in this book, believe it or not.
So we ask of you, please not to come for us because we're not professional.
Yeah, disclaimer, not professional readers. We just do it for fun.
Yes, we're just doing it for funsies. So
yeah, Yoongi says, yeah, don't come for them. They're just trying to do this for fun. So don't be upset.
Thank you, Yoongi.
Yeah, Yoongi is so excited. We better get started.
Yes.
Okay, so
Go
yeah. See who goes first.
Go ahead, Bible. 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 Oh no, not again. So it looks like I'll be reading the first chapter.
There you go.
So,
and by the way, all rights are reserved. This is not our work.
Not our work, guys.
We already said the author's name.
Lewis Carroll.
Lewis Carroll. This is Lewis Carroll's story. We're not taking any credit. We're just reading it. So please
don't do anything.
Remember that. Okay.
Yes. So if you would guys...
Yeah, you tell him, Yoongi. You tell him.
So if you would guys just follow along and follow...
Also, we got popcorn.
Yes.
Yeah, get your popcorn.
Get your popcorn and drinks ready. So if you would guys, please just follow me and we'll start reading.
You ready, Yoongi? Yeah,
yeah.
Yoongi's ready. I don't know if you can hear her, but she's meowing. She's at the window.
Follow me.
What was that?
I wanted it to do like...
Oh, you wanted to do like one of those transition things?
Yeah. Follow me.
Oh wait, you want me to pause?
Yeah!
Oh, my bad.
Okay, ready guys?
Let's get started.
Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. If I can do the first page.
Yoongi, we're about to read.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, keep going.
This one?
No, keep going.
You want me to read that?
You'll see chapter 1. No, you went.
No, I didn't.
Oh yeah, no, you didn't.
Sorry, guys.
One moment, please.
Technical difficulties.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Chapter 1. Down the Rabbit Hole. Alice was beginning to get very tired of sitting by her sister on the bank, and of having nothing to do. Once or twice she had peeped into the book her sister was reading, but it had no pictures or conversations in it. And what is the use of a book, thought Alice, without pictures or conversation? So she was considering in her own mind, as well as she could, for the hot day made her feel very sleepy and stupid. No, look.
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Whether the pleasure of making a daisy chain would be worth the trouble of getting up and picking the daisies when suddenly a white rabbit with pink eyes ran close to her.
Oh. Is that the white rabbit, I assume?
I assume so.
Oh boy.
There was nothing nothing so very remarkable in that, nor did Alice think it's so very much out of the way to hear the rabbit say to itself, oh dear, I shall be too late."
Oh dear. Late? That's not good.
I know. When she thought it over afterwards, it occurred to her that she ought to have wondered at this. But at the time, it all seemed quite natural. But when the rabbit actually took a watch out of its waistcoat pocket and looked at it, and then hurried on, Alice started to her feet, my voice cracked. Sorry.
It's okay.
For it flashed across her mind that she had never before seen a rabbit with either a waistcoat pocket or a watch to take out of it.
Well, yeah, because usually rabbits don't have that.
I know. And burning with curiosity, she ran across the field after it, and fortunately was just in time to see it pop down a large rabbit hole under the bridge. In another moment, down went Alice after it, never once considering how in the world she was going to get out again. Yes. The rabbit hole went straight on like a tunnel for some way. You're enjoying it, Yoongi?
Yoongi's liking it so far. She wonders what happens next.
And then dipped suddenly down, so suddenly that Alice had not a moment to think about stopping herself before she found herself down a very deep well. I don't know why my voice is like this, but just get used to it.
She's like, it's okay, don't worry about it.
Either the well was very deep, or she fell very slowly. For she had plenty of time as she went down to look about her, and to wonder what was going to happen next. First, she tried to look down and make out what she was coming to, but it was too dark to see anything. Then she looked at the side of the well, and noticed that they were filled with cupboards. Oh my gosh! Cupboards and bookshelves. Wow. Look at the white rabbit.
Oh my goodness. That's a nice picture of a white rabbit. Yeah, they can see it. That's a nice picture.
Here.
What do you think, Yoongi?
Here.
Too bad she can't actually be in the room.
I know.
With us while we're reading.
Here and there, she saw maps and pictures hung upon pegs. She took down a jar from one of the shelves as she passed. It was labeled Orange Marmalade, but to her great disappointment, it was empty.
Empty? Oh no!
She did not like to drop the jar for fear of killing somebody. So did you see my face?
No. I didn't see your face.
I said killing somebody.
Now what?
So managed to put it into one of the cupboards as she fell past it. Well, thought Alice to herself, after such a fall as this, I shall think nothing of tumbling downstairs. How brave they all think me at home. Why, I wouldn't say anything about it, even if I fell on top of the house, which was very likely true. Down, down, down. Would the fall never come come to an end. I wonder how many miles I've fallen by this time, she said aloud.
Yeah, 'cause that's a crazy fall there.
Mm-hmm. I must be getting somewhere near the center of the earth.
Ooh, excuse me.
Let me see. That would be 4,000 miles down, I think. For you, see Alice. For you, oh my God. For you, see Alice had learned several things of this sort in her lessons in the schoolroom.
Mm. Always stay in school, kids.
Always stay in school.
You can learn so much.
And no, this was not a very good opportunity of showing off her knowledge, as there was no one to listen to her. Still, it was good practice to say it over. Yes, that's about right. That's about the right distance. But then I wonder what latitude or longitude I've got to.
My goodness, she knows her longitudes and latitude?
Latitudes?
I can't talk.
Latitudes and longitudes.
Latitudes and longitudes. Okay, thank you.
I haven't heard that since high school.
Oh my goodness, that has been forever.
Alice had no idea what longitude was, or longitude either.
Oh, she didn't know. Oh.
But they were nice. But thought they were nice grain words to say.
They are.
Presently, she began again. I wonder if I shall fall right through the earth. How funny it'll seem to come out among the people that walk with their hands downwards. Heads downwards, my bad. The antipathies. That's how you say it?
The what?
Antipathies? Antipathies?
What does that mean?
I don't know. I think she was rather glad there was no one listening this time.
Yoongi, do you know what that means?
I think she left.
I don't think Yoongi knows.
You
don't know? Oh, yes, you don't.
she was rather glad there was no one listening this time, as it didn't sound at all the right word. But I shall have to ask them what the name of the country is, you know? Please, ma'am, is this New Zealand? or Australia? And she tried to curtsy as she spoke. Fancy curtsying as you're falling through the air. Do you think you could manage it? And what an ignorant little girl she'll think me for asking.
Oh no, there she is.
No, it'll never do to ask. Perhaps I shall see it written up somewhere.
Yoongi! Yep, she's still there.
Down, down, down. There was nothing else to do. So Alice began talking again. Dino, it's her cat.
Oh, yeah. From the...
Is it Dina or Dinah?
Dinah, I think.
Dinah will miss me very much tonight. I should think. Dinah was the cat. I hope they'll remember her saucer of milk at tea time. Dinah, my dear, I wish you were down here with me. There are no mice in the air, I'm afraid, but you might catch a bat, and that's very like a mouse, you know. But
Yoongi's very happy that there's another cat in this story.
But do cats eat bats, I wonder?
Do they? Yoongi, do cats eat bats? No. Well, wait. No or yes? Oh, she don't know. Well, she doesn't know because she's never eaten a bat before.
But do cats eat bats, I wonder? And here Alice began to get rather sleepy, and went on saying to herself, in a dreamy sort of way, do cats eat bats? Do cats eat bats? And sometimes, do bats eat cats?
No. Oh, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. For you to see, you see, as she couldn't answer either question. It didn't much matter which way she put it. She felt that she was dozing off, and had just begun to dream that she was walking hand in hand with Dinah, and saying to her very earnestly, "Now, Dinah, tell me the truth. Did you ever eat a bat?" When suddenly, thump, thump, down she came upon a head of sticks and dry leaves, and the fall was over. Alice was not a bit hurt, and she jumped on to her feet in a moment. She looked up, but it was all dark overhead. Before her was another long passage, and the white rabbit was still in sight, hurrying down it. There was not a moment to be lost. Away went Alice like the wind, and was just in time to hear it say, as it turned a corner, "Oh, my ears and whiskers, how late is it getting? How late it's getting." She was close behind it when she turned the corner, but the rabbit was no longer to be seen. She found herself in a long, low hall, which was lit up by a row of lamps hanging from the roof. Wow.
Wow is right.
I
wonder what comes next.
There were doors all around the hall, but they were all locked. And when Alice had been all the way down one side and up the other, trying every door, she walked sadly down the middle, wondering how she was ever going to get out again.
Interesting. What do you think, Yoongi? Yoongi?
And he's like, "Please leave a message after the beep."
Yeah, well, anyway.
Okay. Suddenly, she came upon a little three-legged table, all made of solid glass.
What's that made of?
Glass.
Shout out to Apollo.
All made of solid glass.
Glass.
Glass. Anyway, there was nothing on it
except
a tiny gold key. And Alice's first thought was that it might belong to one of the doors of the hall, but alas! Either the locks were too large or the key was too small. But at any rate, it would not open any of them. However, on the second time around, she came upon a low curtain. Yeah, a low curtain she had not noticed before. And behind it was a little door about 15 inches high. She tried the little golden key in the lock, and to her great delight, it fit.
What? That tiny door? Oh, yeah.
It fitted.
It fit.
No, that's what it says. It fit. It fitted.
It fit. Is that really?
Yeah, see? The light, it fitted.
Oh.
But I say it fit.
See, it fit. Yeah, Yoongi's like, it's fit, not fitted.
Alice opened the door and
we're not judging the writer or anything. We're good. What?
I'm like, Alice opened the door and found that it led into a small passage, not much larger than the rabbit hole. She knelt down and looked along the passage into the loveliest garden you ever saw.
Ooh.
How she longed to get out of that dark hall and wander about among those beds of bright flowers and those cool fountains. But she could not even get her head through the doorway.
Oh.
And
It's too small, of course. I mean,
and even if I
I don't think Yoongi could fit in the door like that.
And even if my head would get through, thought poor Alice, it would be of very little use without my shoulders. Oh, how I wish I could. Hold on. I cannot think. Oh, how I wish I could shut up like a telescope. I think I could if I only knew how to begin. For, you see, so many out of the way things had happened lately that Alice had begun to think that very few things indeed were really impossible. That's sad.
What's the matter, Yoongi?
What's the matter, Yoongi? She's like, I want to come in. It's wet.
Aww. Are you okay? Aww.
There seemed to be no use in waiting by the little door, so she went back to the table, half hoping she might find another key on it, or at any rate, a book of rules for shutting people up like telescopes.
Okay, that's not nice.
This time, she found a little bottle on it, which certainly was not there before, said Alice. And around the neck of the bottle was a paper labeled with the words, "Drink me," beautifully printed on it in large letters.
What's the matter? Oh.
It was all very well to say, "Drink me," but the wise little Alice was not going to do that in a hurry.
Oh.
No, I'll look at it first, she said, and see whether it's marked poison or not, for she had read several nice little histories about children who had got burnt and eaten up by wild beasts and other unpleasant things, all because they would not remember the simple rule their friends had taught them, such as that a red-hot poker will burn you if you hold it too long, and that if you cut your finger very deeply with a knife, it usually bleeds.
Don't ever do that, kids.
I did that before. It
Don't
hurt.
play with knives.
No.
Knives are bad.
Even
Effect 2.0 said it. Effect 2.0 said it himself. I remember.
And she had
during one of the phenomenal videos.
She had never forgot that. She had never forgotten that.
Oh.
If you drink much from a bottle marked poison, it is almost certain to disagree with you sooner or later.
That's not good.
No, it's not.
Don't ever drink anything poisonous.
However, the bottle was not marked poison. Poison. Night apple. I'm sorry.
Jungkook.
Night apple is poison apple. Did I say that right? Poison?
Which is not true. It's okay.
Because I'm JK. Shout out to you, JK. I know you're not watching.
It's okay. Forget about that. For now.
Anyways, however, this bottle was not marked poison. So Alice ventured to taste it, and finding it very nice. It had, in fact, a sort of mixed flavor of cherry tart, custard, pineapple, roast turkey.
Huh?
Roast turkey, toffee, and hot buttered toast.
What was it, like a Willy Wonka 3-course dinner gum situation or something? That does sound genius. All that in a single drink.
So the mixed flavors of cherry tart, custard, pineapple, roasted turkey, toffee, and hot buttered toast. She very soon finished it off. That sounds good though.
It does sound interesting.
Minus the roasted turkey.
Minus the roasted turkey.
What a curious feeling, said Alice. I must be shutting up like a microscope.
Telescope.
Like a telescope. And so it was indeed. She was now only 10 inches high, and her face brightened up at the thought that she was now the right size for going through the little door into that lovely garden. First, however, she waited for a few minutes to see if she was going to shrink any further. She felt a little nervous about this, for it might end, said Alice to herself. I'm going to... In my going... I think that's supposed to say, am I going? Oh well. Am I going... Oh my god.
In my
going out altogether like a candle? I wonder what I should be like then. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. As she tried to fancy what the flame of the candle, it's like after the candle was blown out, she would not remember even having seen such a thing. After a while, finding that nothing more happened, she decided on going into the garden at once. But alas, for poor Alice, when she got through the door, she found she has forgotten the little golden key, and she went back to the table for it. She found she could not possibly reach it because she was so small.
That's not good.
So she could see it quite plainly through the glass. And she tried her best to climb up one of the legs of the table, but it was too slippery.
Oh no.
And when she had tried herself without trying... Oh, okay. The poor little thing sat down and cried. Come, there's no use in crying like that, said Alice to herself rather sharply. I advise you to leave off this minute. She generally gave herself very good advice, though she very seldom followed it. And sometimes... How many more pages? Okay. That's it out loud. Sometimes... okay. Sometimes she scolded herself so severely as to bring tears into her eyes. And once she remembered trying to box her own ears, having created herself in a game of croquet, not...
Yoongi's like, get it right!
game of croquet. She was playing against herself. For this curious child was very fond of pretending to be two people. But it's no use now, thought poor Alice. To pretend to be two people?
Ooh, excuse me. Sorry.
You. Why, there's hardly enough of me left to make one respectable person.
Yeah.
Soon her eyes fell on a glass box that was lying under the table. She opened it and found in it a very small cake, on which the words "Eat me" were beautifully marked in currants. "Well, I'll eat it," said Alice, "and if it makes me grow larger, I can reach the key, and if it makes me grow smaller, I can creep under the door. So either way, I'll get into the garden, and I don't care which happens." She ate a little bit, and said anxiously to herself, "Which way? Which way?" holding her hand on the top of her head to feel which way it was growing. And she was quite surprised to find that she remained the same size. To be sure, this generally happens when one eats cake, but Alice had got so much into the way of expecting nothing to be out of the way things to happen, that it seemed quite dull and stupid for life to go on in the common way. So she set to work and very soon finished off the cake.
Oh, it's my turn now?
Yes.
Okay. Yoongi, I'm reading the next chapter.
I'm listening.
Where'd Yoongi go? Yoongi? Oh, there she is. I thought you left for a second. No, she's still here. Okay. Okay. Chapter 2, The Pool of Tears.
Oh, my popcorn.
Can you refill my popcorn, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm your fourth one, and I'm on my third.
Well, it's a small bag.
Well, yeah, I know. One more.
A little more. Yeah, there you go. Curiouser and curiouser, cried Alice. She was so surprised that... Oh, goodness. Here goes a messing up bit. She was so surprised that for the moment she quite forgot how to speak good English. Now I'm opening out like the largest telescope there ever was. Goodbye, feet. For when she looked down at her feet, they seemed to be almost out of sight. They were getting so far off. Oh, my poor little feet. I wonder who will put my shoes and stockings for you now, dears. I'm sure that I shan't be able. Shan't?
Yeah, that's a word.
Oh, dear. I shall be a great deal too far off to trouble myself about you. You must manage the best way you can. I must be kind to them, thought Alice. Or perhaps they won't walk the way I want to go. Let me see. I'll give them a new pair of boots every Christmas. She went on planning to herself how she would manage it. They must go by the carrier. she thought, and how funny it'll seem, sending presents to one's own feet. And how odd the directions will look. Alice's right foot. Heart rug near the fender with Alice's wait, what? Oh dear, what nonsense I'm talking. Just as at this moment her head struck against the roof of the hall. In fact, she was now more than 9 feet high. My goodness. And she at once took up the little golden key and hurried off to the garden door. Poor Alice. It was as much she could do, lying down on one side to look through into the garden with one eye. But to get through was more hopeless than ever. She sat down and began to cry again. "You ought to be ashamed of yourself," said Alice. "Great girl like you." She might well say this. "To go on crying in this way. Stop this moment, I tell you." Well, she went on all the same, shedding gallons of tears until there was a large pool all around her.
Aww.
About 4 inches deep, and reaching half down the hall. After a time she heard a little pattering of feet in the distance, and she hastily dried her eyes to see what was coming. It was the White Rabbit returning, splendidly dressed, with a pair of white kid gloves in one hand and a large fan in the other. He came trotting along in a great hurry, muttering to himself as he came, "Oh, the Duchess! Oh, won't she be savage if I kept her waiting?" Alice felt so desperate that she was ready to ask help of anyone. So when the rabbit came near her, she began in a slow, trembling voice, "If you please, sir." The rabbit started violently, dropped the white kid gloves and fan, and scurried away into the darkness as hard as he could go. Alice took up the fan and gloves, and as the hall was very hot, she kept fanning herself. All the time she went on talking. "Dear, how strange everything is today, and yesterday things went on just as usual. I wonder if what is it? You wonder what happens next?" Well, I was getting to that. Why do you keep interrupting me? No, never mind. "I wonder if I've been changed in the night. Let me think. Was I the same when I got up this morning? I almost think I can remember feeling a little different. But if I'm not the same, the question is, who in the world am I? Ah, that's the great puzzle." She began thinking over all the children she knew that were the same age as herself, to see if she could have been changed for any of them. "I'm sure I'm not Ada, she said, "for her hair goes in such long ringlets, and mine doesn't go in ringlets at all. And I'm sure I can't be Mabel. For all I know, all sorts of things. And she knows such as very little. Jeez." What are you saying there? My goodness. What do you think, Yoongi? Yeah, that's not very nice. I know. It's ridiculous. Anyway, besides, she's she, and I'm I. And oh dear, how puzzling it all is. I'll try if I know things I used to know. Let me see. 4 times 5 is 12? That's not right, is it?
4 times 5 is 20.
And 4 times 6 is 13. And 4 times 7 is... Oh, dear. I shall never get to 20 at that rate. However, the multiplication table doesn't specify. Let's try geography. London is the capital of Paris.
I'm done.
And Paris is the capital of Rome, and Rome... No, that's all wrong, I'm certain. I must have been changed for Mabel. I'll try and say, how doth the little... As she crossed her hands on her lap, as she were saying lessons, and began to repeat it. But her voice sounded hoarse and strange, and the words did not come the same as they used to do. How doth the little crocodile improve his shining tail, and pour the water of the Nile on every golden scale? How cheerfully he seemed to grin, how neatly spreads his claws, and welcome little fishes in with the gently smiling jaws. I'm sure those are not the right words, said poor Alice, and her eyes filled with tears again as she went on. I must be Mabel after all, and I shall have to go and live in that pokey, I think I'm saying it right, pokey little house, and have next to no toys to play with, and oh, ever so many lessons to learn. No, I've made up my mind about it. If I'm Mabel, I'll stay down here. It'll be no use their putting their heads down and saying, come up again, dear. I shall only look up and say, who am I then? Tell me that first. And then, if I like being that person, I'll come up. If not, I'll stay down here until I'm somebody else. But oh dear, cried Alice with a sudden burst of tears, I do wish they would put their heads down. I'm so very tired of being all alone here. This is crazy. What do you think, Youngie? She has no words. She's speechless. Let me see, where did I leave off? Ah, yes. As she said this, she looked down at her hands, and was surprised to see that she had put on one of the rabbit's little white kid gloves while she was talking. How could I have done that, she thought. I must be growing small again. She got up and went to the table to measure herself by it, and found it, as nearly as she could guess, she was now about 2 feet high. It was going on shrinking rapidly. She soon found out that the cause of this was the fan she was holding, and she dropped it hastily, just in time to avoid shrinking away altogether. That was a narrow escape, said Alice, a good deal frightened at the sudden change, but very glad to find herself still in existence. And now for the garden! And she ran with all the speed back to the little door, but alas, the little door was shut again. And the little golden key was lying on the glass table as before.
Aww.
Not again. And things are worse than ever, thought the poor child, for I never was so small as this before, never. And I declare it's too bad that it is. Oh no, Youngie! Is this ridiculous or what? Again, no words. Well, as she said these words, her foot slipped, and in another moment, splash! She was up to her chin in salt water,
Oh no.
Her first idea was that she has somehow fallen into the sea. I don't think so. And in that case, I can go back by railway, she said to herself. Alice had been to the seaside once in her life, and had come to the general conclusion that wherever you go, whenever you go to on the English coast, you find a number of bathing machines in the sea, some children digging in the sand with wooden spades, then rows of lounging houses, and beside them and behind them is a railway station. However, she soon made out that she was in a pool of tears, which she had wept when she was 9 feet high. I wish I hadn't cried so much, said Alice, as she swam about, trying to find her way out. I shall be punished for it now, I suppose, by being drowned in my own tears. That will be a strange thing, to be sure. However, everything is strange today. Indeed, everything is strange today. Just then she heard something splashing around in the pool a little way off, and she swam nearer to make out what it was. At first she thought it might be a walrus or a hippopotamus. Yeah, hippopotamus. I know. Crazy, right? I know. What? What's so funny?
It's crazy, huh, Yoongi?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Anyway. But then she remembered how small she was now, and she soon made out that it was only a mouse that had slipped in like herself. Would it be wait, hang on. Would it be any of use now, thought Alice, to speak to this mouse? Everything is so out of the way down here that I should think very likely it can talk. At any rate, there's no harm in trying. So she began. Oh, Mouse, do you know the way out of this pool? I'm very tired of swimming around here, oh Mouse. Alice thought this might be the right way of speaking to a mouse. She had never done such a thing before. But she remembered having seen in her brother's Latin grammar a mouse of a mouse, to a mouse, oh mouse. The mouse looked at her rather what does that say? That right there, what does that say? Inquisitively?
Oh, I know big words. Yay.
Wow. Nicely done.
Thanks.
And seemed
Inquisitively?
Yeah, and seemed to her to wink with one of its little eyes, but it said nothing. Perhaps it doesn't speak English, thought Alice. Dare I say it's a French mouse. Come over with William the Conqueror. For, with all her knowledge of history, Alice had no very clear Notion? Yeah, I think that's the right word. How long ago anything had happened. So she began again. Oi, es mi chante? Which was the first sentence of her French lesson book. The mouse gave a sudden leap out of the water. It seemed to quiver all over with fright. Oh, I beg your pardon, cried Alice hastily, afraid that she had hurt the poor animal's feelings. I quite forgot you don't like cats. Not like cats, cried the mouse, in a shrill, passionate voice. Would you like cats if you were me? Well, perhaps not. said Alice in a soothing tone. "Don't be angry about it. And yet, I wish I could show you our cat Dinah. I think you'd take a fancy to cats if you could only see her. She is such a dear, quiet thing," Alice went on, half to herself, as she swam lazily around in the pool. "And she sits purring so nice by the fire, licking her paws and washing her face. She has such a nice soft thing to nurse. She is such a capital one for catching mice." "Oh, I beg your pardon," cried Alice again, for this time the mouse was bristling all over. I don't know how to say that. And she felt certain that it must be really offended. "We won't talk about her any more if you'd rather not." "We, indeed," cried the mouse, who was trembling down the end of his tail. Excuse me. "As if I would talk now such a subject. Our family has always hated cats. Nasty, low, vulgar things. Don't let me hear the name again." "I won't indeed," said Alice, in a great hurry to change the subject of the conversation. Are you fond of dogs?" The mouse did not answer, so Alice went on eagerly. "There's such a nice little dog near our house. I should like to show you. A little bright-eyed terrier, you know, with, such long curly brown hair. It'll fetch things when you throw 'em. It'll sit up and beg for its dinner and all sorts of things. I can't remember half of them. And it belongs to a farmer, you know. And he says it's so useful. It's worth £100. He says it kills all the rats and..." "Oh dear," cried Alice in a soulful tone. "I'm afraid I've offended it again." For the mouse was swimming away from her as hard as it could go, and making quite a commotion in the pool as it went. So she called softly after it, "Mouse dear, do come back again. We won't talk about cats or dogs either, if you don't like them." When the mouse heard this, it turned around and swam slowly back to her. Its face was quite pale with passion, Alice thought, and it said in a low, trembling voice, "Let us get to the shore, and then I'll tell you my history. You'll understand why it is I hate cats and dogs." It was high time to go, for the pool was getting quite crowded with birds and animals that had fallen into it. There were a duck and a dodo, a lory and an eaglet, and several other curious creatures. Alice led the way, and the whole party swarmed to the shore.
Can you pause real quick?
Why? Oh, okay. We'll be right back, folks.
We're gonna take a break.
And we're back.
Sorry about that, guys. We have to take care of. Anyway. Okay, so chapter 3.
Take your time.
A caucus race and a long tail.
Yoongi is ready. Are you ready, Yoongi? I'll take that as a yes.
They were indeed a strange-looking party that assembled on the bank. The birds were draggled feathers, the animals with their fur clinging close to them, and all dripping wet, cross, and uncomfortable. The question, of course, was how to get dry again. They had a consultation about this, and after a few minutes it seemed natural to Alice to find herself talking familiarly with them, as if she had known them all her life. Indeed, she had quite a long argument with the lorry, who at last turned sulky, and would only say, "I'm older than you, and you know better." And this Alice would not allow without knowing how old it was. And as the lorry positively refused to tell its age, there was no more to be said. At last, the mouse, who seemed to be a person of authority among them, called out, "Sit down, all of you, and listen to me. I'll soon make you dry enough." That was good.
Mm-hmm.
They all sat down at once in a large ring, with the mouse in the middle. Alice kept her eyes anxiously fixed on it, for she felt sure she would catch a bad cold if she didn't get dry very soon. We don't want that.
No, you don't.
The mouse with an important air. "Are you all ready? This is the driest thing I know. Silence all round, if you please. William the Conqueror, whose cause was favored by the Pope, was soon submitted by the English, who wanted leaders, and had been of late much accustomed and to usurpation and conquest. Edwin and Morcar, the Earls of Mercia and Northumbria. "Ugh!" said the lorry with a shiver. "I beg your pardon?" said the mouse, frowning but very politely. "Did you speak?" "Not I! Not I!" What should I do? Not I or not I?
I don't know. Either way, it's funny.
"Not I," said Lorry hastily. "I thought you did," said the mouse. I proceed. Edward and Morcar, the Earls of Mercia and Northumbria, declare for them, and even Stigund, the patriotic Archbishop of Canterbury, found it advisable. "Found what?" said the duck. "Found it," the mouse replied rather crossly. "Of course you know what it means." "I know what it means well enough. When I find a thing," said the duck, "it's generally a frog or a worm. The question is, what did the Archbishop find?" The mouse did not notice the question, but hurriedly went on. "Found it advisable to go with Edgar Enthling to meet William and offer his crown."
Wow. Youngie's like, what does this all have to do with getting dry?
William's conduct at first was moderate, but the insolence of his Normans. "How are you getting on now, my dear?" it continued, turning to Alice as it spoke. "As what as ever," said Alice in a melancholy tone. "It doesn't seem to jar me at all." "In that case," said the dodo solemnly, rising to its feet, "I move that the meeting adjourned for the immediate adoption of more energetic remedies. Speak English, said the eaglet. I don't know the meaning of half those long words, and what's more, I don't believe you do either. And the eaglet bent down its head to hide a smile. Some other birds tittered audibly. What was I going to say? Said the dodo in an offended... What? Oh! Ah! Okay. I've been at work all day. Sorry, guys.
It's fine.
What I was going to say, said the dodo in an offended tone, was that the best thing to get us dry would be a caucus race.
A what?
What is a caucus race? Said Alice. Not that she wanted to know. She wanted much to know, but the dodo had paused as if it thought that somebody ought to speak, and no one else seemed inclined to say anything. Why? Said the dodo. The best way to explain it is to do it. And as you might like to try the thing yourself some winter day, I will tell you how the dodo managed it. First it marked out a race course in a sort of circle. The exact shape didn't matter, it said. And then all the party went placed along the course, here and there. There was no 1, 2, 3, and away. But they began running when they liked, and let off when they liked, so it was not easy to know when the race was over. However, when they had been running half an hour or so, and were quite drying again, the dodo suddenly called out, "The race is over!" And they all crowded around it, panting and asking, "But who has won?" The question the dodo could not answer without a great deal of thought, as it sat for a long time with one finger pressed upon its forehead, the position in which you usually see Shakespeare in the pictures of him, while the rest waited in silence. At last the dodo said, "Everybody has won, and all must have prizes." "But who is it to give the prizes?" quite a chorus of voices asked. "Why, she, of course," said the dodo, pointing to Alice with one finger. And the whole party at once crowded around her, calling out in a confused way, "Prizes! Prizes!" Alice had no idea what to do, and in despair she put her hand in her pocket and pulled out a box of comfits. Luckily, if I can turn the page. Luckily, the salt water had not gotten into it, and handed them around as prizes. There was exactly one apiece all around. But she...
So wait, what did she give them? I'm very confused.
Salt water... Hold on.
Wait, let me see.
No. Box of comfits.
Huh?
See?
What is that?
I don't know.
Oh, no. Oh, excuse me.
There was exactly one apiece all around. "But she must have a prize herself, you know," said the mouse. "Of course," the dodo replied very gravely. "What else have you got in your pocket?" he went on, turning to Alice. "Only a thimble," Alice said sadly. "Oh, I said that. Only a thimble." "Only a thimble," said Alice sadly. "Hand it over," said the dodo. Then they all crowded around her once more, while the dodo solemnly presented the thimble, saying, "We beg your acceptance of this elegant thimble." And when it had finished this short speech, they all cheered. Yay! I'm dumb.
What do you mean?
I said they all cheer. I said cheer. Yay! Let's see. Although Alice thought the whole thing was very absurd, but they all looked so grave that she did not dare to laugh, and as she could not think of anything to say, she simply bowed and took the thimble, looking as solemn as she could. The next thing was to eat the comfits. This caused some noise and confusion, as the large birds complained that they could not taste theirs, and the small ones choked and had to be patted on the back. However, it was over at last, as they sat down again in a ring and begged the mouse to tell them something more. "You promised to tell me your history, you know," said Alice. "And why it is you hate C and D," she added in a whisper, half afraid that it would be offended again. Mine is all a long and sad tale," the mouse, turning to Alice and sighing. "It is a long tale, certainly," and said Alice, looking down. Oh no, I have to read that. No.
You want me to read it?
No, I got it.
Okay.
With wonder at the mouse's tale, but why do you call it sad? And she kept on puzzling about it while the mouse was speaking, so that her idea of the tale was something like this. Furry said to the mouse that he met in the house. Oh God.
Oh no, it rhymes.
Oh no, hold on. Okay, I got this.
You got this.
Furry said to the mouse that he met in the house. Let us both go to the law. I will protect you. Come, I'll take no denial. We must have a trial. For really this morning I've nothing to do. Said the mouse to the cur. Such a trial, dear sir, with no jury or judge, would be wasting out of breath. I'll be judge, I'll be jury, said cunning old Fury. I'll try the whole cause and condemn you to death.
Okay.
That's not good.
No, it's not.
That's horrifying.
You are not attending, said the mouse to Alice severely. What are you thinking of? I beg your pardon, said Alice very humbly. You had got to the fifth bend, I think. I had not, cried the mouse sharply and very angrily. A knot? Said Alice, always ready to make herself useful and looking anxiously about her. Oh, do let me help to undo it. I shall do nothing of the sort, said the mouse, getting up and walking away. You insult me by talking such nonsense. I didn't mean it, pleaded poor Alice, but you're so easily offended, you know. The mouse only growled in reply. please come back and finish your story," Alice called after it, and the others all joined in chorus. "Yes, please do." But the mouse only shook its head impatiently and walked a little quicker. "What a pity it wouldn't stay," sighed the lorry. As soon as it was quite out of sight, an old crab took the opportunity of saying to her daughter, "Ah, my dear, let this be a lesson to you, never to lose your temper." "Hold your tongue, Ma," said the young crab a bit snappishly. "You're enough to try the patience of an oyster."
My goodness.
"Gosh.
Wow.
I wish I had our Dinah here. I know I do," said Alice aloud, addressing nobody in particular. "She'd soon fetch it back. And who is Dinah, if I might venture to ask the question?" said the lorry. "No, sorry." Alice replied eagerly, for she was always ready to talk about her pet. "Dinah's our cat, and she's such a capital one for catching mice. You can't think. And oh, I wish you could see her after the birds. Why, she'll eat a bird as soon as she looks at it. Look at it." "Hey, Yoongi."
Yoongi!
Ow, my hand. It's numb. This speech caused a remarkable sensation among the party. Some of the birds hurried off at once. One old magpie began wrapping itself up very carefully, remarking, I really must be getting home. The night air doesn't suit my throat." And a canary called out in a trembling voice to its children, "Come away, my dears. It's high time. You're all in bed." On various pretexts, they all moved off, and Alice was soon left alone. I wish I hadn't mentioned Dinah," she said to herself, if I can turn the page, in a melancholy tone. "Nobody seems to like her down here, and I'm sure she's the best cat in the world. Oh, my dear Dinah, I wonder if I shall ever see you any more." And here poor Alice began to cry, for she felt very lonely and low-spirited. In a little while, however, she began hearing a little pattering of footsteps in the distance, and she looked up eagerly, half hoping that the mouse had changed his mind and was coming back to finish his story. Wow. Oh, I wish I had my ukulele. That'd be funny. My hand's numb.
Yeah, maybe next time.
Hands numb.
Alright, chapter 4.
Last one.
Last one for this video. Let me see. How long is it? Okay,
Not bad.
Not bad, I guess. Alright. The rabbit sends a little bill. It was a white rabbit, trotting slowly back again, and looking anxiously about as it went, as if it had lost something. And she heard it muttering to itself, the Duchess! Oh, my paws! Oh, my fur and whiskers! She'll get me executed. As sure as ferrets are ferrets. Where could I have dropped them, I wonder? Alice guessed in a moment that it was looking for the fan and pair of white kid gloves, and she very good-naturedly began hunting about for them. But they were nowhere to be seen. Everything seemed to have changed since her swim in the pool, and the great hall with the glass table and the little door had vanished completely. Oh dear.
Oh, wow.
Very soon, the rabbit noticed Alice as she went hunting about, and called out to her in an angry tone, "Why, Marianne, what are you doing out here? Run home this moment and fetch me a pair of gloves and a fan. Quick now!" And Alice was so much frightened that she ran off at once in the direction it pointed to, without trying to explain the mistake it had made.
Oh, wow.
"He took me for his housemaid," she said to herself as she ran. "How surprised he'll be when he finds out who I am. But I'd better take him his fan and gloves. That is, if I can find them." As she said this, she came upon a neat little house. On the door, which it was a bright brass plate with the name W. Rabbit engraved upon it. She went in without knocking and hurried upstairs, in great fear lest she should meet the real Marianne and be turned out of the house before she had found the fan and gloves. "How strange it seems," Alice said to herself, "to be going messages for a rabbit. I suppose Diana will be sending me on messages next." And she began fancying all sorts of things that would happen. "Miss Alice, come here directly and get ready for your walk." Coming in a minute, nurse. But I've got to watch this mouse hole till Dinah comes back. And see that mouse doesn't get out. Only I don't think," Alice went on, "that they'll let Dinah stop in the house if it began ordering people about like that." By this time she had found her way to a tidy little room with a table in the window, and on it, as she had hoped, a fan and 2 or 3 pairs of tiny white kid gloves. She took up the fan and the pair of gloves and was just going to leave the room when her eye fell upon a little bottle that stood near the looking glass. There was no label on it this time with the words "Drink me," but nevertheless she uncorked it and put it to her lips. "I know something interesting is sure to happen," she said to herself, "whenever I eat or drink anything. So I'll just see what this bottle does. I hope it'll make me grow large again. For really, I'm quite tired of being such a tiny little thing." It did so indeed. As much sooner than she had expected, before she had drunk half the bottle, she found her head pressing against the ceiling, and had to stoop to save her neck from being broken. She hastily put down the bottle, and saying to herself, "That's quite enough. I hope I shan't grow any more. As it is, I can't get out at the door. I do wish I haven't drunk quite so much." Alas, it was too late to wish that. She went on growing and growing, and very soon she had to kneel down on the floor. In another minute there was not even room for this, as she tried the effect of lying down with one elbow against the door, and the other arm curled around her head. Still she went on growing, and at a last response, she put one arm out of the window and one foot up the chimney and said to herself, "Now I can do no more. Whatever happens, what will become of me?" Luckily for Alice, the little magic bottle had now had its full effect, and she grew no larger. Still, it was very uncomfortable, and as there seemed to be no sort of chance of her getting out, of her ever getting out of the room again, no wonder she felt unhappy. It was much pleasanter at home, thought poor Alice. Excuse me a minute. I need to wipe my nose. You okay?
Yeah.
Did you just get lost again?
No.
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 Anyway. Where was I? Ah, yes. When one wasn't always growing larger and smaller, and being ordered around by mice and rabbits, I almost wish I hadn't gone down that rabbit hole. And yet, it's rather curious, you know, that sort of life. I do wonder what can have happened to me. When I used to read fairy tales, I fancied that kind of thing never happened. And now here I am in the middle of one. There ought to be a book written about me. That there ought. There has. And when I grow up, I'll write one. But I'm grown up now, she added in a sorrowful tone. At least there's no room to grow up any more here. But then, thought Alice, shall I never get older than I am now? That'll be a comfort, one way, never to be an old woman. But then, always to have lessons to learn. Oh, I shouldn't like that. Oh, you foolish Alice, she answered herself. How can you learn lessons in here? Why, there's hardly room for you, and no room at all for any lesson books. And so she went on, taking first one side and then the other. And making quite a conversation to it altogether. But after a few minutes she heard a voice outside and stopped to listen. "Marianne, Marianne," said the voice, "fetch me my gloves this moment." Then came the little pattering of feet on the stairs. Alice knew it was the rabbit coming in to look for her. And she trembled till she shook the house, quite forgetting that she was now about 1,000 times as large as the rabbit, and had no reason to be afraid of it. Presently, the rabbit came up to the room and tried to open it. But, as the door opened inward, and Alice's elbow was pressed hard against it, that attempt proved a failure. Alice heard it say to itself, "Then I'll go around and get at the window." "That you won't," thought Alice. And after waiting till she fancied she heard the rabbit under the window, she suddenly spread out her hand and made a snatch in the air. She did not get a hold of anything, but she heard a little shriek and a fall, and a crash of broken glass, from which she concluded that it was just possible it had fallen into a cucumber frame, or something of the sort. Next came an angry voice, the rabbit's. "Pat, Pat, where are you?" And then a voice she had never heard before. I'm sure then I'm here, digging for apples, Your Honor." "Digging for apples, indeed," said the rabbit angrily. "Here, come and help me out of this. sounds of more broken glass. Now tell me, Pat, what's that in the window? Sure, it's an arm, Your Honor. He pronounced it A-arm. An A-arm. I'm sure it's A-arm. Go, dear. You believe this, Youngie? No, she can't believe it. I know, it's crazy. Anyway. An arm, you goose? Whoever saw that one that size? Why, it fills the whole window. Sure it does, Your Honor. But it's an A-arm for all of that. Well, it's got no business there. At any rate, go and take it away. There was a long silence after this, and Alice could only hear whispers now and then, such as, "Sure, I don't like it, Your Honor, at all. At all. Do as I tell you, you coward." And at last, she spread out her hand again and made another snatch in the air. This time, there were 2 little shrieks and more sounds of broken glass. What a number of cucumber frames there must be, thought Alice. I wonder what they'll do next. As for pulling me out the window, I only wish they could. I'm sure I don't want to stay in here any longer. She waited for some time without hearing any more. Anything more. My gosh, I can't talk. At last, a rumbling of little cartwheels and the sound of a good many voices all talking together. She made out the words, "Where's the other ladder? Why, I hadn't to bring but one. Bill's got the other. Bill, fetch it here, lad." Are you alright out there? She's like, this is crazy. Anyway. Here, put 'em up at this corner. No, tie 'em together first. They don't reach half high enough yet. Oh, they'll do well enough. Don't be particular. Here, Bill, catch hold of this rope. Will the roof bear? Mind that loose slate. Oh, it's coming down. Heads below. A loud crash. Now, who did that? It was Bill, I fancy. Who's to go down the chimney? Nay, I shan't. You do it. That I won't, then. Bill's going to go down. Here, Bill. The master says you're going down the chimney. Oh, so Bill got to come down the chimney, has he? Said Alice to herself. Why, they seem to put everything upon Bill. I wouldn't be in Bill's place for a good deal. This fireplace is narrow, to be sure. I think I can kick a little. She drew her foot as far down the chimney as she could, and waited until she heard a little animal. She couldn't guess of what sort it was, scratching and scrambling about in the chimney close above her. Then, saying to herself, "This is Bill," she gave one sharp kick and waited to see what would happen next. The first thing she heard was the general chorus of, "There goes Bill!" Then the rabbit's voice, a lull him, "Catch him, you, by the hedge!" Then silence. And then another confusion of voices. "Hold up his head! Brandy now, don't choke him! How was it, old fellow? What happened to you? Tell us all about it." Last came a little feeble, squeaking voice. "That's Bill," thought Alice. "Well, I hardly know. No more, thank ye. I'm better now. But I'm a deal too flustered to tell you. All I know is something comes at me like a jack-in-the-box as I go up as I and up I goes like a skyrocket. So you did, old fellow, said the others. We must burn the house down, said the rabbit's voice. And Alice called as loud as she could, If you do, I'll send Dinah at you. There was a dead silence instantly, and Alice thought to herself, Wonder what they'll do next. If they had any sense, they'd take the roof off. After a minute or two, they began moving about again, and Alice heard the rabbit say, A barrowful will do, to begin with. A barrow full of what? Thought Alice. She had oh my gosh. But she had no long to doubt. For the next moment, a shower of little pebbles came rattling at the window, and some of them hit her in the face. I'll put a stop to this, she said to herself, and shouted out, You better not do that again, which produced another dead silence. Alice noticed with some surprise that the pebbles were all turning into little cakes, and they lay on the floor. As they lay on the floor, a great idea came to her head. If I eat one of these cakes, she thought, it's sure to make some change in my size, and it can't possibly make me any larger. It must make me smaller, I suppose. So she swallowed one of the cakes, was delighted to find she began shrinking directly. As soon as she was small enough to get through the door, she ran out of the house and found quite a crowd of little animals and birds waiting outside. The poor lizard Bill was in the middle, being held up by 2 guinea pigs, who were giving it something out of a bottle. They all made a rush at Alice the moment she appeared, but she ran off as hard as she could, and soon found herself safe in the thick wood. The first thing I've got to do, Alice said to herself as she wandered about in the wood, is to grow to my right size again, and the second thing to find my way into that lovely garden. I think that will be the best plan. It sounded an excellent plan, no doubt. It was very neatly and simply arranged. The only difficulty was that she had not the smallest idea how to set about it. And while she was peering about anxiously among the trees, a little sharp bark just over her head made her look up in a great hurry. An enormous puppy was looking down at her with large round eyes, and feebly stretching out one paw trying to touch her. Poor little thing, said Alice in a coaxing tone, and she tried hard to whistle to it. But she was terribly frightened all the time at the thought that it might be hungry. Oh boy, that's not good. In which case, it would be very likely to eat her up in spite of all her coaxing. Hardly knowing what she did, she picked up a little bit of stick and held it out to the puppy, whereupon the little puppy jumped into the air off all its feet at once with a yelp of delight, and rushed at the stick and made believe to worry it. Then Alice dodged behind a great thistle to keep herself from being run over, and the moment she appeared on the other side, the puppy made another rush at the stick and tumbled head over heels as it hurried to get a hold of it. Then Alice, thinking it was very like having a game of play with a cart horse, and expecting every moment to be trampled under its feet, ran around the thistle again. Then the puppy began a series of short charges at the stick, running a very little way forward each time, and a long way back, and barking hoarsely all the while, till at last it sat down a good way off, panting, with its tongue hanging out of its mouth, and its great eyes half shut. This seemed to Alice a good opportunity for making her escape, so she set off at once, and ran till she was quite tired and out of breath, until the puppy's bark sounded quite faint in the distance. "And yet what a dear little puppy it was," said Alice, as she leaned against a buttercup to rest herself, and fanned herself with one of its leaves. "I should have liked teaching it tricks very much, if only been the right size to do it. Oh dear, I nearly forgot that I've got to grow up again. Let me see, how is it to be managed? I suppose I ought to eat or drink something or other. But the great question is, what?" The great question certainly was, what? Alice looked all around her at the flowers and blades of grass, but she could not see anything that looked like the right thing to eat or drink under the circumstances. There was a large mushroom growing near her, about the same height as herself, and when she had looked under it, and on both sides of it and behind it, it occurred to her that she might as well look and see that it was on the top of it. She stretched herself up on tiptoe and peered over the edge of the mushroom. Her eyes immediately met those of a large blue caterpillar. Oh. That was sitting on top of the top with its arms folded, quietly smoking a long hookah, and taking not the smallest notice of her or anything else.
I think we know who that is.
I think we know who that is.
No spoilers until the next chapter.
Well, that's about all we have time for.
Yes.
My goodness, we've been talking for about an hour and 38 minutes.
Yes.
Wow.
Hour and 38 minutes and 13 seconds.
Wow. This went on a while.
Yeah.
Well, hope you all enjoyed this first bit.
That's all we got for you guys for this episode. Remember, there are going to be 2 more episodes after this. Stay tuned.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, thanks all so much for watching. And, keep calm and sparkle on. Always next video, and we'll see you there. I'm Sparkle Butterfly, and this...
Me. Mickey.
You'll say your name.
My level in the 14 or Mickey.
And Yoongi. Special guest star Yoongi.
That's all we got for you guys for this episode. I know Sparkle already said this, but if you don't have no BTS, if you don't have any BTS merchandise, what are you doing? Get some.
Yes, Yoongi approves.
Yes. Alright.
Alright, everybody.
Have a blessed night.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Peace.
You're the best. Bye.